going to last, but the time I have is brief. And so there's a beautiful sutta, one of the teachings of the Buddha that I often draw upon, which is called the Arakasuta. And Araka was a sage who lived many, many generations before the Buddha. And so the Buddha is telling us this story about this sage Araka from the distant past. And Araka was a teacher who always talked about impermanence and the brevity of life. And so he would tell his students this beautiful series of images. He said, life is short. It's like a dewdrop on a blade of grass. And for us, maybe that's like quite a romantic image. It's like the classic Buddhist kind of, or massage, or like, retreat kind of image. And we're like, oh, it's so beautiful, the dewdrop on the lotus leaf. But of course, it's not meant to be like, maybe it's a little bit beautiful, but it's meant to be an indication of brevity. It's a warning. That dew gets heated up in the first few rays of the morning and disappears. Gone. And that's what it's like for us. We're here and then we stay for a bit and then we're gone. Life is brief. And Araka the sage says, think about this and wake up. Wake up. It's so easy for us just to kind of be walking around in a bit of a daze, thinking we'll last, that life is long. And we know that life is short. Someone here said that they had 2 deaths in their friendship circle in the last few days. Another person says that a member of their family has a diagnosis. Yesterday we did a death contemplation here, and one of the people, as they were going home, saw a really bad car accident. So life is impermanent and it's brief. Think about this and wake up, says Araka. The second image he used is this image of a water bubble. When it rains, you get these little bubbles, and they're like, pop, and they're gone. That's how brief our life is. We're there, and then gone. Very brief, yeah? Another image is a line drawn in the water. As soon as it's drawn in the water, it's gone. So brief, barely there at all. Or a fast-moving river. Always relentlessly moving forward, but never the same river. As soon as the water passes through, it's changing, it's gone. This is like us, our continuum, our past and future lives are like this, just relentlessly moving. And Araka says our life is like a glob of spit, like spat out. Spat right at the camera. And of course, we're the spit, we're kind of like, that's it. We kind of get born and then we get spat out and that's it. Splat on the ground, dry up in the sunshine, gone. He said it's like a tiny little bit of meat thrown into a really hot pan, kind of sizzles and disappears. We're the meat, sizzling. And the last image he used is the image of a cow being led step by step to slaughter, every step bringing it closer to certain death. So this is the brevity of life that Araka the teacher talked about. And the Buddha said in this sutta, where he's telling this story, he said that at the time of Araka, the lifespan for humans was thousands and thousands and thousands of years. And he still taught brevity of life. So how much more for us who live maybe 60, 70, 80, maybe 100 years to think about brevity? It doesn't last long. So think about this and wake up. This is what Araka said. And so this is the purpose of thinking in this way about impermanence, about thinking about the brevity of our life, is to get us to wake up, to get us to be galvanized, stimulated. There's a word in Buddhism, samvega. This is that spiritual urgency. And it's not just like a panic. It's not a crisis. It's not a neurosis or, the sky is falling. There's a movement of energy that's like stimulated. But in the suttas, in the Buddhist teachings, you always see these words, I had samvega, I realized that life is short. I had samvega, but then I became calm. And the reason you become calm is because there's nothing you can do but see in line with the truth, see in line with nature. And whenever we see the truth, whenever we understand the truth of our existence, whenever we see in line with the Dhamma and understand how things really are, then of course we become calm, of course we become tranquil, because we're seeing things as they really are and we're understanding, maybe for the first time, understanding and accepting. But it's very difficult for us to penetrate the truth of our own impermanence. Very difficult for us to see the brevity of our life. And it's also very difficult for us to become familiar with the truth of death. So I talked before about the kind of delusions that the world puts in our way. We're all supposed to be obsessed with health and wealth and being young and gorgeous, and that will last for some time. But from time to time we'll get a little glimpse of the truth. We'll get a little glimpse, but the world keeps death so well hidden from us. It keeps it hidden away behind closed doors. We don't see dead bodies lying on the street like at the time of the Buddha, in Australia in any rate. We don't have, like in India and some other countries, funeral pyres where bodies are burnt. It's even rare, I go to a lot of funerals, it's even rare to see an open casket these days. And people are very scared even to be in the same room as the dead body. It's very difficult for us to see death and become familiar with death. And so this is a challenge for us because, of course, sooner or later it's going to happen. And the Buddha used a series of images to talk about the kinds of people there are in the world that can be compared to racehorses or animals of any kind. In this particular case, he's talking about horses that are fast or slow learners. And some of us are fast learners, some of us are slow learners, some of us are in between. And so it's called the Simile of the Goad. So some of you will know what a goad is. Perhaps it's like a long stick like this. It's got a very pointy end and a hook. So a goad is what they use to train animals like elephants, water buffalo, horses, cows, whatever, through cruelty by hurting them. So you use the pointy end to stick the animal, and the animal, if it's smart, will go, oh, my owner wants me to move. And so this is that kind of experience of samvega, this kind of waking up, this energy. You should be moved, you should be transported. If you don't have an awareness of death and your own impermanence and have some sort of transformation, then it hasn't been a deep enough transformation. If you come here and sit and do death contemplation and it doesn't affect you, then maybe you haven't seen it enough. maybe it hasn't become real enough for you. It should have some sort of impact when you consider like this. And so there's these 4 images that the Buddha talks about that are horses that can be compared to humans. So the first one is the quick learner, the smart one. So this horse sees that goad, the shadow of the goad is enough for that horse to go, okay, time to move, ready to go. Doesn't want to have suffering, wants to avoid suffering, sees the shadow and moves. And the Buddha said this is like the kind of person who hears about someone dying in a village far away. They hear so-and-so died in that village, and that person goes, this could happen to me. This will happen to me. How am I living my life? Quick learner, able to extrapolate, an abstract comment and make it real for themselves, yeah? So the second type of horse is the kind of horse who doesn't move when it sees the shadow of the goad, only starts to move when it feels that prick in its hairs into the top layer of its skin. And then it thinks, oh, time to go, have to move forward. And the Buddha said that this kind of horse is like the person who sees a dead body in front of them. So they didn't just hear about it from the other village, they see a dead body in front of them and they feel something. They are moved, they experience samvega, they want to change. It's like a spiritual urgency that they get. So they're quick learners, these 2 people, yeah? They hear about something, they see something, and they get it. Has anyone here seen a dead body? Yeah? Yep. Did it have an effect on you? Yeah? Quick learners. But actually, we see dead bodies all the time, like, in television, in kitchens, in supermarkets, on plates in front of us. And it doesn't seem to make much of a connection sometimes, We hear about people dying in tsunamis, we hear about people dying in wars, and we don't kind of go, this could happen to me, So the third type of horse is the type of horse that doesn't tremble at the shadow, doesn't move when it's pricked, but takes a little bit of a poke with that sharp point into the flesh. Only then, when it experiences some pain, does it start to move. Slow learner, right? And the kind of human who's like that is the kind of human who doesn't care about the body in the village, doesn't care about the stranger in front of them, only when it's someone they know and care about. Only then does it affect them. And if we're really honest, this is probably most of us, we don't get really upset when someone we don't know dies. We don't care. We care because of the degree of our attachment to the person who's passed. We don't go to just anyone's funeral, we go to the funerals of people we love and care about. And it's because of our attachment that we care. It's because of our attachment that we suffer when they pass. We suffer because of the attachment when there's separation. And so this kind of person, it takes quite a lot to get through to them. It takes quite a lot. But I think that's probably for most of us how we are. I mean, we couldn't go around kind of like every time someone dies, going, oh, quick, I must, transform my life. It'll be, but we should at least have the awareness that this will happen to us. And then the fourth kind of horse is the kind of horse that doesn't tremble at the shadow of the goad, doesn't move when it's pricked in the hairs, doesn't even move when it's deep in the flesh. but only when it goes deeper and deeper into the bone. Oh, I know, it's like gross, yeah? Such a powerful image, and of course it's meant to be powerful. Only when it penetrates the bone does it kind of go, right, clop, clop. But it takes a lot of pain for that horse to work it out, to get that movement that is the samvega. And that kind of person is the kind of person who only when death is coming for them, only when it's happening to them, only then do they become aware of their demise. Only then do they realize how precious life is when it's too late. So we don't want to be a slow learner. We don't want to be the horse that really requires that kind of pain to understand the truth. And this is important because as a chaplain, I encounter people who are dying, and you see the different way people react to death. And I know of people who, even when they're literally in their last moments, still are fighting, still are resisting, still can't accept it. And this is very sad because in the last moments of your life, you don't want to be like angry and resentful for nature. You want to be contemplating the good things that you've done. You want to be able to let go, be happy to let go, to feel okay about passing, to not hold on, to think about your generosity and kindness, to rejoice in others' goodness. To have a mind like this towards the end of your life is a gift, a very beautiful gift, but you don't get it without living well. And so that's the purpose of this kind of meditation, to develop awareness of the impermanence of life, the brevity of life, and to gain certainty about the truth of death. And of course, all of this designed to make us think, how are we living? What are we doing with our life? Am I living well? Am I doing good? And so then the final contemplation that we're going to do is the actual death contemplation. So we've kind of warmed up a little bit. We're kind of probably not going to get freaked out, perhaps. But I just want you to know that you're surrounded by friends here, and that sometimes this can be quite a confronting meditation to do. So I want you to know that if you start to feel uncomfortable, then it's okay just to get up and walk outside and just hang out in the sunshine. And if something happens afterwards that you feel you want to talk about, then you can come to me, and you have my phone number if you want to talk later as well. Because sometimes this contemplation can stir some stuff up for us. So I just want you to know that you're supported and cared for. And so the meditation we're going to do is the contemplation on the corpse, decomposing corpse. So there's 9 stages to this meditation, which I'll go through. And this meditation appears a couple of times in the suttas. Most of you, if you're familiar with the Buddhist text, would know it perhaps from the Satipatthana suttas, where it comes under the contemplation of the body. So you have the breath, the elements, and the postures, as well as this contemplation on the corpse. So you can choose whether you want to picture yourself as the corpse, or you might just imagine a kind of corpse that is anonymous, and that's the way I'll talk about it in the contemplation. Does anyone have any questions before we get going? We'll meditate for about half an hour together. Very good. So let's just begin by letting go. So we just take a few moments to set up the posture. So when we come to meditate, we want to be alert but comfortable, upright but not uptight, We want to be aware but relaxed. And so we try to find this place of comfort, place of ease in the body. And so we begin by relaxing the body, letting go of all the tightness and tension. Allow yourself to feel the shoulders relaxing, unclench the jaw, and feel the relaxation moving down the body, letting go, softening. Allowing the body to rest, become still. And so releasing down to the chest, the back, letting go of the arms, releasing the internal organs, just softening, relaxing. Down through the hips, down through the thighs, feeling comfortable. And allow that relaxation to move all the way down, imagining any tightness, any tension draining away through the toes. And already the body feeling relaxed, feeling comfortable. And you see that when the body is relaxed, the mind, all by itself, naturally becomes calm, becomes peaceful. It feels good to be relaxed. It feels good to be peaceful. And so we'll use this relaxed body, this calm, peaceful mind throughout the meditation. Now we'll begin by visualizing before us a body, 1, 2, 3 days deceased. Without oxygen, without breath, this body is still, not moving. The blood starting to pool in the body. Skin turning waxy and blue from the pooling blood. Here and there's patches of marbled skin, pink, white. And the body is beginning to swell, to become bloated. And from every orifice, there is liquid oozing. This body, only a few days old, is beginning to decompose, to fester. This body that was once alive and moving, breathing, eating, talking, loving. This body is beginning to decay. See it clearly, this body. Make it real. Understand. My body is of the same nature. I have not overcome death. My body will become just like this. This is my inescapable fate, unavoidable. But this is natural. This is the way it must be. The only way it will be. Just like this body. And so this process, this natural process, continues. And that body is being eaten by wild animals, by wild dogs, jackals, by vultures, hawks, by insects, worms. And this is confronting, but natural. All animals need to eat. Humans eat other animals. It's only natural in nature that animals will feed on the corpse of a dead body. And you see it, animals ripping apart the flesh, biting through the skin, breaking the bones, burrowing into the insides, taking away tiny pieces. We understand my body is of the same nature. The time of death, after death, I can't shoo these animals away. My body will become food for others. And this is my inescapable, unavoidable fate. But it's natural. This is just how it is. And this process continues, cannot be stopped. Now that body with its flesh eaten, we can start to see the bones, the skeleton. And that body still covered in some flesh, still stained by blood, its shape held together by tendons. Already this body is breaking up. And we see the white of the bones. We see the flesh that remains, the blood staining the bones, and the tendons that hold the body together still. And this is how my body will be. This is what will be left of my body. And gradually the flesh will be eaten or dry up. The blood still lingering on those bones. The tendons still holding that body together. Soon, even the blood will disappear from those bones. Even those tendons that held together our body, almost like a puppet, keeping the shape of a human. One day too, those tendons will disappear, and this puppet body, held together by those tendons, will finally lose that human shape. And this is my inescapable fate, unavoidable. My body is of the same nature, cannot avoid this fate. But this is natural. This is just how it is. And without the tendons holding that puppet together, the bones now lie scattered. Over there, a hip bone, here a jawbone, there a finger bone, there a leg bone, there a tooth, there the skull. This body fragmented, scattered bones. And you see them scattered. And you understand that this body is held together by skin and flesh, tendons. And when those things are gone, the bones of this body too will be scattered. Where before there was cohesion, now there is just fragments remaining. And this is what will happen to my body to all bodies. This is our fate. And as those scattered bones lie there in the sun, they're bleached bright white, like a conch shell. They lie there for up to a year like this. The sun bleaching the blood, the marrow, those bones bright white in the grass, scattered. My bones will become just like that. Cannot avoid this. Will have no control. This is nature. This is just how it is. And eventually those bones, years in the future, turn yellow and brown as they age. Even these bones changing, decomposing, lying in a heap, yellow, brown, old bones. See them. Understand. This is what happens to bones, to bodies, to me. Then many, many years in the future, those bones have crumbled to dust. All that is left of that body is a pile of dust. And this is what will happen to my body. Cannot avoid this fate. Why then? do I cling so strongly to this body, to this idea of me, mine? When all that is left will be a pile of dust. I'll be long gone. People I care for will be long gone too. So knowing this, seeing this, ask yourself, how am I living my life? And so we've moved from this body which was bloated and blue, eaten by animals, the flesh, the blood, the tendons disappearing, the scattered bones, the bones bleached white, the yellow decaying bones, and finally to dust. And this is what it's like for all bodies. For anything that is born must die. So as we come to the end of the session, taking a few moments to reflect on the practice. How was that? Was it challenging? Was it easy? Was there something that stood out to you? Some discomfort? Some peace? Does it seem a little bit more real to know that you must also pass away? And so slowly coming back to this body of yours, alive. You are alive. Back to this place, surrounded by friends. Back to this life that you live. But hopefully a little bit changed, a little bit more knowledgeable, a little bit more wise and accepting, having seen in line with nature.